People feel the calm, the clarity, the confidence. You're not demanding respect, you're commanding it. You were not born to be invisible, you were born to shine. Power is not loud, it's grounded. It doesn't chase, it leads. You're not just making a statement, you're becoming unforgettable. Have you ever walked away from a conversation with your heart sinking, replaying every single word, wishing you could go back and say what you really meant? Or worse, feeling invisible, like your voice didn't matter at all? Yeah, I've been there too. And if we're being honest, those little moments, they add up. Missed opportunity, misread signals, people underestimating you, feeling invisible in rooms where you should be seen. And it's not just frustrating, it can be exhausting. Because deep down, you know you got something powerful inside of you. You're smart, you care, you work hard, but if your presence doesn't match your potential, be it personally or professionally, it's like having a superpower with the cape tucked inside your jacket. But here's the good news. You don't need to be the loudest in the room to be powerful. In this video, I'm sharing 7 subtle but super effective power moves that completely change how I showed up. They're small shifts, but they make a huge difference. So if you're tired of second-guessing yourself or feeling like people just don't get how awesome you are, stay with me. I promise this could be the beginning of a whole new energy you carry into every room. And I promise you, once you feel that shift, you will never want to go back. This one is so powerful. Power move, powerful. Use a downward tone at the end of your sentences. It sounds tiny, right? But man, oh man, it's just like adjusting the focus on the camera. Same face, same words, but one version looks sharp and self-assured, while the other one is blurry and uncertain. Let's break it down. You ever hear somebody introduce themselves like, "Hi, I'm a consultant. I help people with mindset." Like every sentence ends with a question mark. Even if their message is strong, that rising inflection makes them sound like they're unsure, like almost like they're seeking for approval. And most people won't consciously catch it, but they will feel it. It creates this subtle dissonance, like you need them to confirm what you just say. Now, let's flip that. Speak with a downward tone. When your voice lands softly at the end, not harsh, not bossy, here's where it stands. It's like you're planting your words into the ground. Here. This is where it stands. You don't need to raise your voice to raise your influence. Think of your sentence like an anchor. That downward tone, that's your dropping the anchor. Boom. Now, your words don't drift. People feel the calm, the clarity, the confidence. You're not demanding respect, you're commanding it by simply being rooted in your own voice. And look, I'm not saying now from now on talk like a robot or start giving like tech talks now or talk like ChatGPT. You're still warm, you're human, you're kind. But when it matters, when you're introducing yourself, when you're pitching an idea, setting a boundary, you land that anchor. Try this. Say your name with a downward tone. Instead of saying, "Hi, I'm Sarah," say, "Ay, hola, I'm Sarah." Totally different vibe, right? One says, "Hey, can you please approve of me?" And the other one says, "I know who I am." So practice this in the mirror. On voice memos, it's not about pretending, it's about aligning your tone with your truth. Let your words land. Don't let them float. Okay, you got this. Power move number 2. Rambling is the quickest way to lose respect. Fewer words equals more power. Here's a game changer that can shape how you show up in every conversation from now on. Pause before you speak. Sounds simple, right? But when you actually do it, the energy in the room completely changes. You're telling people, I'm not just filling space with words. I'm thinking, I'm present, I'm intentional. And trust me, people feel that. Now, here's why the pause works. When you don't rush to reply, it shows that you're not reacting, you are responding. Reacting is automatic. It's what happens when we feel pressure to say something now or risk the awkward silence. But responding, that's powerful. You're choosing your words because they matter, not because you're afraid of the silence. Real confidence whispers. It doesn't beg to be heard. And fun fact, silence works for you, not against you. It builds curiosity. It creates subtle tension that makes people lean in, wondering what you're about to say. That pause is like a punctuation for your energy. It says, what I'm about to say is worth waiting for. I once had a client who struggled with ADHD, And he was thinking that his need to pause and process before speaking was a weakness in sales. He felt that he had to react quickly or he'll lose the moment. But here's the thing, that pause, it was not a flaw. It was actually his superpower. Why? Because he was one of the very few who actually listened. He cared about understanding before speaking. Once he realized that pausing was not a weakness and actually was a strength, he started showing up differently in conversations. He slowed down. He chose his words more carefully. And guess what? People respected him more for it. Here's the truth. People who ramble, who fill the air with nervous chatter, often come off as unsure. We've all been there. But when you pause, when you take a breath and let the silence do its thing, then speak with intention, that's when your words land. They carry weight, they carry confidence. So here's your challenge. Next time you're talking to someone, give yourself permission to pause just one beat and notice how people start paying attention. When you decide it's time to talk, not when they expect you to. And you don't have to rush to earn respect. Just be real. Be you. And trust me, real always wins. Number 3. All right, let's talk about one of my absolute favorite power moves. Own your space. I know we hear it all the time. Confidence is key. But what nobody really tells you is what your body says before your mouth even opens. Your body language is like your first introduction. Before you even say hola or hi, it's already telling people how to treat you. So you gotta ask yourself, what story is my body telling? Because if you're shrinking into yourself, walking with your shoulders hunched, chin tucked, arm crossed, you're sending a message. And it's not the message you want. That kind of posture says, I don't want to take up space. I don't belong here. Sorry for existing. I know, dramatic. And honestly, I say this with love, but we are not doing that anymore. Instead, just take a second, even if it's just a micro adjustment. Put those shoulders back, lift that chin, ground yourself, and boom, that small shift instantly says, I'm here, I belong, I deserve to be in this room. And guess what? When you believe it, then other people do too. It's wild how quickly energy shifts when you decide to stop apologizing for your presence. I actually first learned this as a dancer. Yes, I had my little dancer era, full of stage lights and rehearsals. And let me tell you, when you walk on that stage with that posture, with that confidence radiating through your body, it's not just a performance, it's power. You're commanding attention without saying a word. Then I relearned that same principle years later, this time as a speaker. I noticed something. The way I walked into the room, whether I was standing tall or hesitating, set the tone for how people listen to me. And once I got that, I started applying it everywhere. Not just on stage, not just when I'm on. I do it in meetings, on Zoom, at brunch, even just walking into a room full of strangers. You're not invisible, you're not invisible, you're just unclaimed. Because here's the truth, when you carry yourself like you matter, like you have something valuable to offer to the world adjusts. But amiga, you have to go first. You teach people how to see you by how you present yourself. And look, I'm not saying walk around like a robot, puff out like a superhero. This is not about overcompensating or faking it. It's about aligning your body with your truth, okay? You do belong. You are worth listening to. You don't have to shrink or fold or blend to be accepted. So next time you're feeling unsure, just remember, little posture check, shoulders back, chin up, feet grounded. Take up that space. Not in an arrogant way, okay? But in a way that quietly says, I'm not hiding today. Because you were not born to be invisible. You were born to shine. Let your body be that first one to say it. Power move number 4. All right, let's talk about the next subtle power move. Speak with fewer words, but more weight. I know that one is so hard, especially for us Latinos. I get it. We love to tell stories. We'll take you on a whole emotional roller coaster, introduce 12 side characters, describe the food, the music, the moment, and then maybe circling back to the point. And honestly, it's part of our magic. It's how we love, how we connect, how we entertain, beautiful stuff. But listen, in certain situations, especially when you are trying to lead, to influence, or make an impression, less is more. Less is more. Let me repeat it one more time. Less is more. See, powerful people don't ramble. They speak clearly. They speak directly. and they let the words land. They're not over-explaining. They're not apologizing. They're not trying to convince you. They already believe in what they're saying. Speak like your words are already valuable because they are. When you speak with intention, when you trim the fluff and stand behind your words, it sends a quiet but powerful message. I know who I am. I know what I am about, and I don't need to prove it to you. Let me give you a real example. When I first started speaking years ago, someone will ask me, so what's your speaking fee? And oh my gosh, I will go into this awkward, cringy song and dance.
Actually this, but I'm open to ideas, you know. I can do this or maybe I can do that. What do you think? Blah, blah, blah.
Just dancing around, trying to be nice, but totally selling myself short. Now, when someone asks me, I look them in the eye and say, my speaking fee is $15,000. And then I stop. No explanation, no apology, no justification. That pause commands respect. That pause says, I know my worth. Same thing goes when people ask you, so what do you do? And then you launch into your whole life story. Wow, it's complicated. I used to be an engineer when I got into fitness, and then I started my business 5 years ago as a coach, but I also speak, and yeah, sometimes, stop. And yeah, by the way, that example was me. Because here's the truth. Confused people don't buy, they don't hire, they don't remember you. If you leave people guessing, they will move on. This is why it's so powerful to have a clear position statement, which, by the way, I talk about it on another video if you want to dive deeper. Now, when somebody asks, what do? I say, I empower people to thrive using their authentic superpowers. And I do that through speaking and coaching. Boom, done. Crystal clear. And I'm still being me. I'm leading with clarity and intention. So you're someone who tends to overtalk and overshare and overcompensate. Breathe. Give yourself permission to stop trying to fill every silence. That silence, that space is powerful. It builds tension. It draws people in. Start noticing your filler words. Catch yourself when you go into, well, it's complicated mode. Practice being concise without losing your soul. Speak from your heart, but speak with weight. And remember, your voice already matters. You don't need more words to prove it, just the right ones. Woo. Want to instantly change how people see you without saying a word? Make eye contact and then break it slowly. This is a small habit most people overlook, but it has the power to completely transform how others perceive you. Eye contact is one of the simplest tools you have, yet so few use it with intention. And when you do, you don't need to shout out or take up more space to be noticed. You naturally draw attention, hold presence, and become unforgettable. Confidence leaders, they master this. Once you do too, you won't just walk into a room, you're gonna own it. I spent years learning how to use eye contact to draw people in, and today I'm going to show you how to do it too. Make intentional eye contact. It's one of the simplest and most powerful ways to shift how people perceive you and even how you see yourself. Sounds very tiny, right? But trust me, once you use it with purpose, it becomes a game changer. So here's the move. Make eye contact and then break it slowly. Don't be awkward, not with a weird squint. Just calmly, like you got nothing to prove, nothing to change, no anxiety about taking that space. That's real confidence. Not loud, not aggressive, just present. Think of eye contact like sunlight. Too much and people shield themselves, right? Too little and everything feels cold. But the right amount of warmth, steady attention, it pulls people in, makes them lean in, and lets them feel your presence without you saying a single word. And here's the psychological truth. When you avoid eye contact, even without realizing it, you're subconsciously saying, I'm unsure of myself. I don't feel safe being seen. If you've ever felt ignored or dismissed, eye contact can feel intimidating. But here's the reality. People respect what you respect. When you respect your own presence enough to hold that gaze for just a moment longer, they notice. It tells them, she's not trying to impress me. She's just here, fully. And that slow break, that's where the magic happens. When you look away too fast, it feels like you're running from the moment, right? But when you break eye contact slowly, like choosing to move on, not because you're uncomfortable, not because you need their approval, it radiates calm confidence. It says, I'm good whether you like me or not. Now I challenge you. Next time you talk to someone, meet their eyes for a second longer than usual. Stay there, soft eyes, open energy, then slowly, gently look away. And that's it, no pressure. Just one tiny shift, one moment of owning your presence. If you ever felt invisible or like people don't take you seriously, I see you. I've been there. But trust me, you're not too quiet or awkward. You've just never been shown how powerful your presence really is. And it all starts with moments like this. This is not about being perfect. It's about practicing self-respect, the kind that says, I don't need to shrink anymore. I can let people see me. The more you practice this, the more natural it feels. And the more natural it feels, the more others will treat you like someone who's worth listening to. Because you are. You so are. Power move number 6. All right, let's be real. When someone's in your face, when the heat rises, when that tension starts buzzing through your body, it's so tempting to react, to snap back, right? To prove your point louder. But here's the truth. Power does not live in your reaction. It lives in your regulation. Staying calm when you're challenged, that's not a weakness. That's a strength. In stillness, that's control. That's respectable. And power is not loud, it's grounded. It doesn't chase, it leads. Here's a visual that I always come back to. Imagine you're a tree in a storm and everyone else is flailing, branches are flying, leaves ripped away, but you got deep roots. You sway, sure, but you don't break. That's emotional composure. That's the kind of presence people remember. And let me give you a real example. Early in my career, I was managing a manufacturing site. And then one day, 2 operators stormed into my office furious, like shouting, throwing around accusations from all management issues. And then it turned personal, racial, and ugly. I felt my body react, my heart race, my fist clench, right? But instead of matching their chaos, I breathed. I grounded. And then actually I turn around and I say, sorry, who exactly do you mean by you people? No sarcastic, no defensive, that. Just direct. And in that moment, everything shifted. They paused. The emotional tornado collapsed. We actually all sat down, we talked, and believe it or not, those same 2 guys became some of my biggest advocates. Why? Because I didn't meet chaos with chaos. I held my ground with grace. And I know a lot of you watching have lived environments where being heard meant being loud, or being challenged meant that you had to defend yourself. So let me say this with love. You don't owe anyone your emotional chaos just to prove that you're strong. Real strength is knowing that you don't have to react to every spark. You can choose to stay grounded. Next time conflict shows up, and it will, be a tree. Breathe deep, stay rooted. Let your presence speak louder than your volume. Let's bring it home with Power Move 7. And this one, woo! It hits deep for kind-hearted high achievers out there. End the conversation on your terms. Now, hold up. I don't mean ghosting people or walking away mid-sentence. That's not the vibe. We're not rude, we're radiant. And this is not about ego, it's about energy stewardship. And you don't have to stay in a conversation longer than it serves you. You don't need to nod through like 50 more minutes of rambling just to be polite. You don't have to earn anyone's approval of making yourself smaller. Ending a conversation gracefully says something powerful without saying much at all. I value my time, I respect myself, and I'm clear on what I need. Think of it like this. You are a candle, you bring warmth, you bring light. But if someone keeps burning your wax without giving anything back, that's not kindness, that's burnout. I used to fall into this trap all the time, especially at networking events. I hang in every conversation just a little longer, afraid of missing a chance. But by the end of the night, I was drained, disconnected, and honestly forgettable. Now I'm warm, I'm present. But when the moment feels complete, I say, hey, I really love catching up with you. I'm going to step out now, but let's definitely stay in touch. And I really mean it. Otherwise, I don't say it. Simple, respectful, powerful. And if you're a people pleaser, I see you. I know ending a combo might feel rude, but honestly, it's not. It's actually one of the most confident things you can do. It teaches people how to treat you, and more importantly, it reminds you how worthy your time and presence truly are. So next time you feel yourself overstaying, over nodding, overextending, pause, breathe, Then wrap it up with kindness and clarity, no guilt, no apologies. Because when you own your presence and your exit, you're not just making a statement. You're becoming unforgettable. And with that, we just dropped a whole set of subtle, powerful shifts that can change how the world sees you and, more importantly, how you see yourself. Now, I got a challenge for you. Which of these 7 power moves are you claiming this week? Now, drop your favorite below and then go walk into the next room like you own it. Because trust me, when your presence speaks before you do, the world listens. By the way, if you want complete clarity on what makes you stand out, I put together a free resource with the most powerful insights I've given my clients, the exact same strategies that help them unlock their superpowers and build brands that open doors. It will help you to do the same so you can step into your full potential and attract the right opportunities. The link is down below.